And so maybe as people are walking in, if we could just create an alley or a way for people to walk in so they don't become a disturbance to this event. My name is Antonio McLemore, and I get the honor and privilege of serving as your MC today. I've newly employed with Metro Parks Tacoma, so it is an honor to represent Metro Parks Tacoma in such a monumental event. But I'm a firm believer that what we fail to honor, we lose. So I think it would be remiss of us in honoring such a beautiful life that we wouldn't take 10 seconds of our time to honor his mother and his family. So I'm going to ask you for 10 seconds to engage, not in your cute golf clap, but in like your church clap. And if you don't know what that is, just look around and follow suit. But for 10 seconds, and maybe you can, if you're an overachiever, you can just shout out encouraging words. It's okay, she may not hear it, but it's the act that counts. So on the count of 3, and I'm actually gonna ask that you stand for those that can. I know that there are people, actually everybody's standing, so sorry. We'll make sure, put some respect on her name. So 1, 2, 3. Come on, keep it going, 5. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, to you. Yeah, come on, come on. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, we love you. Love you. Shirley said, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this moment. I'll never forget the first conversation we had in that office, and I was scared to death. Boy, because the flames was coming. I was getting ready. But you ended with, I feel relieved. I feel like my son's dream is in good hands. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this moment, because I live in this community. And as a community member, I share this moment, but I think it's also important that we honor you for all of the weight that you've carried to leading to the day and to the moment where we're all celebrating. But a lot of that weight's been on your shoulders. And so we wanted to take the time to honor you. So thank you. Well, as I was thinking and preparing for what I would share today, being a public speaker, I do this. Those who know me, I'm rarely lost for words. My mom used to call me diarrhea mouth, and so I've just matured a little bit. And as I woke up this morning, I was really lost for words, if I can be honest with you. I live in this community. I live just a few blocks from this building. And I know that there's a lot of people here today in our community that are hurting. In the morning, confused, lost, and even looking for hope. And it was that word hope that encouraged me this morning. Because as I encouraged myself, I thought about a little story. Now I have to be mindful because I work for the government. So how I communicate this, I have to be sure. I have to be mindful of my words. But I was reminded that on one side of the mountain, there could be mourning. And on the other side of the mountain, there could be provision. And I was reminded that we all have an assignment today, because Billy Ray was a dreamer. He was a dreamer. He had the ability to dream beyond his own limitations. He was resilient. He modeled resilience. I too know the pain that tragedy can inflict on the mind and the body and the spirit. I personally know how that can impact a community. And I was reminded of something that I've said and to remind myself, to encourage myself in my own tragedy, was that in this life, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the nose. And what I love about my Eastside community is the thing that makes us resilient is not necessarily our inability to avoid punches, but our ability to stand up. And I believe that's what character is made of. I believe that's what the Eastside is made of. And as I talked to one of Billy's best friends last night for a few hours, I was reminded that he exemplified resilience. That his life story was about getting hit down and getting back up. And getting knocked down and getting back up. And getting hit down and getting back up. But the reality is although Billy is no longer here today to pick himself up, his mother, his family, the Billy Ray team have been lifting his story. They have been carrying the weight to ensure that Billy Ray's story is forever cemented in this community. His story is written in stone. But this is where your assignment is. I heard Mama Shay say, she leaves people with assignments. I share that same gift. It's like, well, Dad, you're not carrying any groceries. Yes, that's how it works. So I will leave you with an assignment. That today's monument marks the moment that his story will forever be written in stone. But here's the truth. His legacy is up to each and every single person in this room. I'm going to say it again. His story is written in stone. But his legacy is up to us. Billy Ray dreamed of a center for the Eastside community that would be a pillar of hope for young people to come into a safe space to heal from all of life's bumps and bruises. And I'm not sure about you, if you live life long enough, you'll get some bumps and some bruises. And if they haven't come yet, they are coming. And that was Billy's dream. And that is why we're all here today. So I will leave you with this again. His story is written in stone, but his legacy is up to you. Thank you so much for your time. Well, I have the honor and privilege of introducing someone very special. I just found out that her son worked here. And so when we get ready to shout and y'all encourage her, I know her son better be standing on that desk and shouting his mama down. Oh, can we give it up for Jasmine Brown? Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today on this cold morning. Chilly and windy, blustery day. When I saw this call to artists, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. And I have the education, the degrees, and exhibition experience. And so when I thought about applying, I said, well, I've been doing mural icons for a couple of years, inspired by the tragic murders of my foster sons Tori and Charles Carter in 2008. And I'd done some temporary public art installations in Seattle. But at the time when this call came out, I was working as a tech teacher for Tacoma Public Schools and doing contract design work, designing websites for Microsoft. And when I decided to go ahead and apply, it was aspirational for me to participate in this call. Public art projects like this one are usually require an extensive portfolio. So to get a job, you have to already have done something like it. Bronze sculptures are expensive and time consuming. So most panels who decide on who gets public art projects like this prefer to see a sense of portfolio. And to really be seriously considered. But I was surprised when I was selected as a finalist. So I sculpted a small sample bust of my son, who's standing right back there behind the counter, as an example that I could do this. And when it came time for the finalist interviews, I took a day off from teaching over at Geodrome and appeared before a panel that included Shalisa Hayes and Ed from Two Ravens over there. Thank you, Shalisa, for having the faith in me to complete this project. I know there were other highly qualified applicants, and I'm proud to have been able to honor Billy Ray and to do justice by this project for the community as a whole. This project went through numerous delays. I think 6 casts of my son's hands, 3 busts, 2 pairs of Air Force Ones, 5 pairs of jeans, several wax casts, but with the help of Shalisa, Team Billy Ray, who helped me learn how to get the shoes tied right, Two Ravens Foundry, and Rebecca from the city of Tacoma. We were able to produce the bronze that we will be seeing today. My son works here now at the Eastside Community Center, and kids like him can see when they come in the door that their dreams can change their neighborhood, the city, and the world. It's my honor now to introduce Mama Shay, Shalisa Hayes, Billy Ray's mom. Thank you.
So Jasmine had homework the other day. I gave it to her. So we did it, for those that don't know, we did this unveiling once more a couple days ago. And one of the things that I said to Jasmine that I'm gonna share with all of you, because I know there's a lot of people in this room who have suffered the same sort of loss that I have, very, very similar. And that is, keep telling your story so that every time you tell it, it heals you. Jasmine has spent a lot of time sharing everybody else's story that she had not been telling her own. So I'm very proud to see that she stood up today and let y'all know that she has been impacted too. Now, if you know me, you know I don't generally write speeches, especially when it has to do with my story. I like to speak from the heart. So a lot of times I'm conflicted about, should I write a speech or should I just get up there? So a couple days ago, I said, no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and speak from the heart. Then I woke up at 3 a.m. come Wednesday morning, the day that we were doing the unveiling. And I just want to know and see how many people in this room, if they're better than the last group. Who knows what I'm normally doing at 3 a.m. in the morning? Fried chicken. Well, at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, there was no frying chicken. I was writing a speech. Pretty lengthy one. I got some words for y'all. So bear with me, please. I promise when I'm done, we'll get over and show you what you came to see, because I'm sure you didn't come to see me. So one more thank you to Jasmine for sculpting my baby. I know how hard it is to get contracts, big contracts for public work. I know how hard it is just as a Black woman to have to prove yourself over and over and over again. So thank you for taking that offer. Thank you to Ed at Two Ravens, who stood by as a support system so that we made sure that between the two of them, the statue was done right. If you know anything about me, you know it's not uncommon for me to adopt people into my family. I'm certain I learned that from my godmother, because between her and my aunties, there was always some new family faces at the cookout. So Ed, Two Ravens, and Jasmine, you are a part of my family. Thank you. Thank you to all the donors that helped make this community center a reality. And a special thank you to the Milgard family. For those who don't know who that is, you know, Milgard windows. A family who used their generosity, their voice, and their pen to remind all of us of the importance of permanently recognizing Billy Ray and his dream, the statue. I've gotten a chance to work alongside of and learn from some very smart and loving people who made a commitment to see this project through to completion no matter the obstacles we face. And if by some odd chance I've ever forgotten just how much the people at Metro Parks and the city of Tacoma care, along with all the other partners, these last couple weeks quickly reminded me. The team, to include Nancy Johnson, Terry Moore, Rebecca Salverson, Hunter George, and others, were all responsible for making sure the installation and celebration went smoothly. Their work and communication is top notch. At every step of the way, they put my wishes first and filled in any pieces that I didn't think of. Thank you to my family and friends who had to deal with me and all my absences from family gatherings, graduations, holiday festivities, etc. I know at times that it's been hard to deal with because it's not easy to understand the shoes that I walk in. But when you look at my overall goal and the accomplishments, I hope I made you proud. To Team Billy Ray, enough said. There is no I in team, and you all remind me that every time we get together, we are a team. I will forever be grateful for each of you. No words can describe the impact you've had on my life at moments where I was vulnerable and lost. Just know that you are always loved, and if ever in need, you know that I'm a phone call away forever. Jamares, I did this to you once. Let me do this to you one more time, one more again. Come on over here, baby. And stand on this side of me, right here. For those who don't know, this is Billy Ray's little brother. He is my only child left breathing that I birthed. So I like to say to him that I can only imagine what it feels like to be known as Shalisa's son. That's a lot of weight to carry. I can imagine what it feels like, or I can't imagine what it feels like to be the brother of Billy Ray. I can only imagine what it feels like to lose your one and only brother to gun violence. What I can unfortunately relate to is what it feels like to go to funeral after funeral after funeral of many close friends that you lost to gun violence. So as you work to make your mark on this world as an individual, not just as Shalisa's son or Billy Ray's little brother. Just know that I see you, I hear you, I support you, and I thank you. I love you, baby. To each of Billy Ray's friends who answered my call on that solemn night in August 2011 to ask that you show up for Jamaz whenever he needed you. Thank you for making the commitment to being his older siblings and looking out for him just like Billy Ray did. Okay. Now, if I named every individual that I would love to thank, you probably would get bored and leave. So I'm going to stop there and just say, from this day forward, each of you, those who were named and not named, whether you showed up to do the work or just said a silent prayer, you will all be known to me as Billy Ray's Dream Team. Thank you so much for everything. The statue you're about to see is one that plays an important role at this community center. The two truly go hand in hand because you see, this center was built for children and their families to have a safe place to gather. It is also the dream of a young boy who was just like a lot of the kids that walk through these doors. A boy that we've talked a lot about in death, but not a lot about in life. And after all these years of him being gone, as his mother, I have not forgotten. I remember when Billy Ray was this cool little kid who always had a huge smile and his mind on his money. At a very young age, he showed his entrepreneurial spirit. I remember at the age of 5, he requested that I buy him some needles for his bike pump. When I figured out, or I asked him what he needed it for, it was because he was gonna go around the neighborhood and charge all the kids 25 cents to put air in their bike tires or their basketballs. Where did he come up with that idea? I have no clue. But it made me giggle, so of course I went and bought him his needles. I remember when I bought he and his brother enough school supplies to last a full academic year. If you are a parent, you know what it feels like to go school shopping. So I always tried to fill the cabinet so I never had to go back for the rest of the year. So one day Jamaz comes to me and he says, "Mom, I need you to go to the store and buy me some pencils." I said, "Jamaz, you better go down in that cabinet and get you some pencils out of the cabinet." He said, "There's no pencils in the cabinet." I looked in the cabinet, underneath the cabinet, around the cabinet, in the drawer. There were no pencils. I later found out that Billy Ray had been at school selling all the pencils. I remember when he was 8 and he wanted to take his hair pick to the pawn shop. Now y'all, as old as I am, as I stand in front of you today, I have never been to a pawn shop. So I don't know where this child found out about a pawn shop, but he knew it was a place he can go to sell his pick, his very favorite styling tool, so he can get some money. Now, I don't think the pawn shop would have been interested, but that was his idea. I never took him, by the way. I remember when he was 8 and he wrote in his journal about the need to not have homelessness and violence. I remember when he was in private school and never had any behavioral issues. In fact, I remember getting a phone call from one of his teachers praising him for standing up to a student that was bullying another one of his classmates. But I also remember his freshman year in public school when he became the kid I didn't recognize. As he struggled with learning who he was as a person, dealt with pressure from his peers, and learned how his environment and the people around him impacted his life. I remember when he became so unrecognizable as the person I had birthed and raised that I walked into his school one day and told the administrative staff that he was never coming back. Then I enrolled him in online school for a year. See, online school for children is new to some of y'all, but we was doing it way back then. So I kept him home for that year so that we could improve his grades and help him focus on correcting any behavioral issues. I remember when he did so well with this change that he was Billy Ray again. He was the kid who always had something to something to say to make you smile and make you laugh. The kid who showed care and love and concern for others. So as a reward, I let him go back to school on campus. And the result was me being able to witness him show a tremendous amount of school spirit. He went to football games, basketball games, proms, and other school dances, things that he had not been interested just 2 years prior. I remember when he came home and told me how he had pranked his favorite teacher at his new school. Thank goodness Miss Elvram has a sense of humor. I remember when he convinced me to buy him a lock. Y'all, he turned me into a mini criminal. I went and bought this lock so on the last day of school, he could lock the gate at the parking lot at Curtis High where all the seniors parked their cars. Then he watched as all the students came to class frustrated. They were late because they didn't have anywhere to park. Yep, I was in on it. I don't know what I would have said to the principal if he got caught. I was a culprit. I remember when he came home and told me how he had literally been watching a student at school for days because he had taken notice to the young man's clothes, which appeared to be very worn to him, and he was certain the young man didn't have a large wardrobe based on how long he had watched him. So he decided that he was going to take some clothes out of his closet and give it to that young man. His ask of me was to tell him the best way to approach the young man because, you know, the young man didn't really know him, and I'm sure he would have been kind of put off if some kid just walks up to him with some clothes. But in teenage fashion, I remember when he didn't take any of my advice. So the kid declined his offer. But then I remember when that same young man changed his mind a few days later and took Billy Ray up on his offer. I remember Billy Ray was so excited that he doubled the amount of stuff he was going to give and packed up a duffel bag full of clothes and shoes to give to that young man. I also remember when that young man walked up to me at the vigil and said, "I want you to know what your son did for me." And I knew exactly who he was before I knew who he was. I remember when he chose to stay after school day after day, getting help with his homework so he could be successful. I remember when, at the end of Sunday church service, Billy Ray walked up to our pastor and asked to be saved. I remember shortly afterward when he made the decision on his own to go to summer school so he could make up any credits he had lost during his freshman year when he wasn't himself. I remember when he began to dream about going to college in sunny California. Just like his mama, he chased the sun. I remember when he shared his dream of a community center. I remember the kid who I once didn't recognize did a 360-degree turn and began to dream about the future for himself and others. Billy Ray was just like all of us at certain parts of our lives. He didn't always make the right decisions, and unfortunately his last decision resulted in him going to a place where there were people who didn't value his life and ultimately cost him his life. Billy Ray is an example of why it's so important for society to not criminalize its victims. When tragedy strikes, too many and too often are those of us who attempt to search for a reason to justify a person's violent murder, because in my eyes, we believe that doing so will somehow relieve our conscience from the responsibility or feeling of guilt for our part in helping shape a world that has become numb to gun violence. Or it's because it's just simply too hard to fathom the senselessness in it all. If we truly believe that one day the children shall lead them, then the village needs to take care of the children so they can grow up and actually lead us. I thank each of you who believed in me and in Billy Ray's dream and didn't allow others to define him for that short period of his life when he wasn't being himself. I can only imagine how he and his dreams would have impacted our world if he were just allowed to live beyond his 17 years. If you're still wondering what the deep connection this statue has to this center, think of it this way. This is not just a statue giving honor to a kid and a dream. This statue is speaking to the young Billy Rays that walk through this building's doors. It is representative of one of his favorite sayings of, I got this, or you got this. My hope is that those very words and this statue will ring through the hallways of this building forever. It's the very fabric of our cause. Even as we all came together to make this building a reality, Billy Ray's words were a constant reminder to us to keep pushing no matter what obstacle we faced. I hope that every person, especially every child, who enters this building is provided that same encouragement. I want them to see themselves in Billy Ray and know that when they aren't themselves, or when life teaches them hard lessons through failure, that the village is here for them. The adults in this building play a huge role in each child's life by showing them that no matter their environment, their circumstances, their challenges, and even their bad decisions, we still recognize their humanity, their hard work, and simply the good in them. We teach them and we love them like they're our own through all things good and bad. And when they're ready to spread their wings and impact the world, we help them. The Eastside Community Center is a second home to many. It is a place of refuge and love. And the statue of Billy Ray serves as a reminder to all that they got this. Now, I wouldn't be Shalisa, AKA Mama Shay, if I didn't leave you with a little homework. So get ready to take a few mental notes because this homework is never finished. Before we leave here today, I have to say that it isn't lost on me that while we are here to celebrate Billy Ray's life, there are families that are in mourning. Just 2 days ago, 4 people were shot and killed not too far from here by an individual who didn't value their lives. So, I ask that you make a personal commitment to learn and talk with your friends and families about the impact of gun violence, the importance of gun safety, and then make a commitment to being a catalyst for change. There is a youth memorial, a mural, painted inside this building as a tribute to all the young lives we have lost. We have decided that we will soon install a TV monitor and offer families of fallen youth the opportunity to submit the names of their deceased children to be displayed on this monitor next to the mural. As much as I love this project, I hate that it's even necessary. So please, don't glorify guns, glorify being alive and free from incarceration. Lastly, I ask that you remind yourselves, no matter what, to see the humanity in people, no matter their age, race, gender, struggles, or their decisions, because everyone dreams, and everyone has someone who loves them, even when they're not at their best. The children who enter this center every day deserve a village that loves and supports them just like their parents and just like Billy Ray did. That is your assignment. I know you can do it. You got this. Antonio is going to give you some housekeeping items. Go.
Thank you, Shalisa. Can we give it up one more time for Shalisa? Okay, just a few household items. First thing that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of, I just want to give a big thanks again to Milgard and all of their support for making this happen. We also want to thank the Eastside Community Center and Metro Parks. One of the things that I also want to make sure that I am very, very explicit on this one is I just want to make sure that all attendees, it's okay for you to take pictures, but please do not share those pictures until afternoon. So please just don't share those pictures. Although it is, I think, past noon, so we may be good. We're approaching it. So y'all got 8 minutes before y'all can post those pictures. And then Shalisa is going to be doing a tour of the facility in just a few moments. So if you just will give her a few moments to kind of wrap up, I know this will be a great time to grab her and, you know, take pictures, but if you can just provide her with a few moments so she can gather herself. She's going to be doing a tour, and so all you'll have to do is just meet in the tech lounge over here to my right. I know we have for refreshments over to my left, and thank you so much for being here.